Okay, good morning everyone. We're going to get catch up today. Tomorrow we'll get a little bit ahead because on Shabbos, the daf we're going to do on Shabbos is for Sunday. So by Shabbos we need to be a little bit ahead. Okay, Zak the Gemara. We are in Zevachim, Perak Achadasar, Dam Chatas, Pei Tzadi Gimel Amid Beis. In the middle of the page, Shirayim, Tzadi Gimel Amid Beis. We said that Shirayim Shebe Etzba Psulin, that after you finish doing the sprinklings, so whatever's left on your etzba is pasul, and therefore seemingly if it would get onto a beged, it would not require kibbutz. Amar le Rabin bar Ravad le Rav, Amar Tamidecha Amar Rav Amram, Tanina, Hayamazev Nitza Hazam Yado. If you go ahead and you sprinkle at Shalo Hiza Town Kibbutz, until you sprinkle, you need kibbutz. Misha Hiza Ein Town Kibbutz. From the time that you sprinkle, you don't need kibbutz. What's this talking about? When you sprinkle, you need kibbutz. From the time you sprinkle, you don't need kibbutz. What does this mean? My lavachi gamar. Ad shelo gamar kol milahazos ton kibbutz. So the way the Gemara understands is until you finish sprinkling, you need kibbutz. Misha gamar lahazos ain't ton kibbutz. Once you finish sprinkling, you don't need kibbutz. What does that show? That shows that while you're still sprinkling in the process, in the middle of the sprinkles, between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, whatever's on your hand, if you get that onto a beged, it needs kibbutz. Which seems to imply that the shiarim needs kibbutz because the shiarim sheba etzba are kosher and not pasul, and therefore not like Rava just said and not like Rabbi Zev just said. Says the Gemara, no. Lo hachi kamar. Achelo yatzta hazam miyado taon kibbutz. Misha yatzta hazam miyado ain't taon kibbutz. No. When it talks about needing kibbutz, that's achelo yatzta miyado. That's from the time that you're tovel. If it gets on the guy now, you need kibbutz. But once you go ahead and you throw it, now anything left over no longer needs kibbutz because that's going to be possible to use. So therefore, again, from the time you tovel it, from the time you dip your finger in, through the process, if that blood gets on a garment, you need kibbutz. Anytime after that, i.e. the shiarim, the stuff that's left over, the shirayim, the stuff that's left over, will not need kibbutz. Says Gemara, Eisvei Abaye, Gomer Milhazim Mekaneach Yoda Begufa Shal Par. When we're talking about the paraduma, so when you finish sprinkling the paraduma, the mechatas, so you have to go ahead and you have to wipe off your hand on the paraduma. Gamar in lo, gamar lo. That sounds like you only wipe it off after you're finished. But in the middle of the sprinklings, you don't wipe it off, which sounds like between one sprinkle and the next, you can continue going. Because the shirayim is not going to be pasul. And therefore, at the end of the day, again, that's another kasha. Says Gamar, no. Amar le gamar. Mikaneach yoda beguva shel par. Lo gamar mikaneach etzbo. No, you wipe off in between each sprinkling, even by the paraduma, and the same here. And therefore, again, that's why if the blood of the shirayim gets onto your garment, you don't have to wash it because that's pasul. So what are you saying? Why does it say to wipe it on the par? Because you only wipe it on the par afterwards. Why are you wiping it on the par at all? Because the pasuk says that you have to burn everything. You have to burn esorav, yes bisarav, yes dama al pirsha yisrof. You need to burn everything. So if you need to burn everything, when I'm finished, I need to put the leftover onto the par. Why can't I put my finger onto the par in between? Why don't I dip it? Why don't I wipe it on the thing in between? Because at the end of the day, what am I going to do? I'm going to end up getting myself dirty, as we'll see. Bishlama gamar mikaneach yoda beguva shel parash ne'amar v'tzarav saparalinav. Eletz bo b'may mikaneach. I can't go ahead and go onto the par. We're about to be on the Mishnah on Tzadi Gimel Amid Beis. We're about to hit the Mishnah. I can't go ahead and wipe it on the par in between sprinklings because what's going to happen? Forget about it. I might get off the leftover blood and the leftover mechalas. What am I going to get on my hand? The dirt from the par. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Bisfad Mizrach Kedusiv Kipurei Zahav. So what do? Einachanami. You need to go ahead and you need to clean your fingers in between sprinklings, both by the par and by the chatas blood. But over there, when it says that you only wipe it after you finish, it's telling you only wipe it on the animal, on the par after you finish. But in between each thing, you wipe it. So again, it comes out, like Rabbi Zev said, that the shirayim is pasul. Therefore, when you're going ahead and doing the mechatas, or you're going ahead and doing the dam of the chatash, you have to go ahead and you have to wipe in between each application. And therefore, what he says is true, that if the leftovers gets onto a beged, you will not have to wash it, because again, that's not considered to be the blood that we're talking about. Zak the Mishnah. Nitas ala or. So now you have a case where some of the blood gets on or, on a hide. We're going to talk about a hide, and then we're going to talk about leather. Achelo hufshat eno ton kibus, misha hufshat ton kibus, div Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says, everybody agrees, even Rabbi Yehuda, that until it's skinned, until it's stripped from the carcass, if blood gets on the hide, it doesn't have to be washed because it's not a kli. It's not a kli, as we'll see, it's not makabel tuma. once it's separated from the hide, once it's stripped from the carcass, and now it's a hide standing by itself, even though it hasn't been made into its final product, it needs kibbutz if blood gets on it. Rabbi Zev says that even after it's stripped from the carcass, it doesn't need kibbutz. And as Rashi explains, and as the Gemara is going to explain, what the machlokes here is that after you strip it from the hide, you strip it from the animal, from the carcass, you have something that is usable. You may not want to use it as such, but it's a big piece of whatever you want to say. It's a big mat. It could be used for something. So as we're going to see, Rabbi Yehuda says that even though you don't intend to use it for that, you want to go ahead and cut it and make a nice fancy leather jacket to wear. At the end of the day, since it is usable right now, it's roi lakabel tuma, and at any moment you could change your mind and say, no, I want to use it as is, therefore we consider it to be a kli, it's roi lakabel tuma, and if any blood gets on it right now, it's going to need kibbutz. Says Rabbi Elazar, I agree with you. If you want to use it as a mat, as is, for sure, if blood gets on it, it's roi lakabel tuma, for sure, it's going to need to have kibbutz. But at the end of the day, if you don't intend to use it as a mat, and it's not yet in the finished state in which you intend to use it, then even though now you could change your mind at any point, we don't care that it's roi lakabel tuma. We only care whether it's mekabel tuma. The difference is roi, that it's able to, or that it's set, or that it's fit to be mekabel tuma. If you would choose, yes, it's roi lakabel tuma if you would choose to use it right now. But since you're not choosing it to use it right now, you want to only use it as a finished product, as a leather jacket, as whatever you're going to use it. Therefore, at this current moment, it's not going to need kibbutz. It's not considered to be a kli if it would get dirty now. That's the difference between them. They all agree that until it's stripped, for sure, it's not mekabel tuma, and for sure, if blood gets on it, it doesn't have to be washed. They all agree that if you have a finished product that you're happy with, then for sure you have to wash it. But they disagree on when you have something that could theoretically be used as a finished product, but you're not interested in using it as a finished product. Rabbi Yehuda would say it still needs to be washed, because since it's roi lakabel tuma, we consider it a finished product, and Rabbi Elazar says not. That's about the whole Gemara we're going to do. Says the Gemara, Eino town kibbutz. Furthermore, the Bach adds, other things that don't need kibbutz, elamakom hadam. First of all, you should realize this whole discussion, you don't have to go ahead and wash the entire garment. Just have to spot treat it. The Gemara is going to point out that this is stam like Rabbi Yehuda. It only has to be something that's roi lakabel tuma. That's like Rabbi Yehuda, because again, according to Rabbi Elazar, something that's roi lakabel tuma will not need to be washed. Only something that's actually makabel tuma, which is a kli that you want. V'roi lekibus. You only have to wash something that can be washed. We're not going to make you throw something in the washing machine that's going to be ruined when you throw it in the washing machine. We're not going to make you wash, well, you might have to dry clean the wool pants. We're not going to make you wash the wool pants. Or to unin kibbutz. Now, or over here is talking about leather. So we see that leather needs kibbutz, and we're going to talk about this whole discussion in just a moment. V'kibbutz b'makom kadosh. Furthermore, when you do the kibbutz, you can't just bring it to your house and do the kibbutz at home. You need to wash it in the azara of the Beis Hamikdash. Furthermore, when we said that you have to go ahead after you cook the chatas in a kli, so shviras kli cheres b'makom kadosh, we said if it's an earthenware kli, you have to break it. That has to be done in the azara. Umriko shtiva b'chli nechoshes b'makom kadosh. And if you go ahead and you use a copper or metal utensil to cook it, then you have to go ahead and you have to clean it in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Azara. And this, i.e. kibbutz, the fact that it needs kibbutz is more of a chumrah by chatas and kachikashim, because other korbanos that you cook, you don't have to do kibbutz. You don't have to necessarily go ahead, or sorry, we should say kibbutz, that if blood from other animals gets onto garments, you don't have to wash them, as opposed to over here, by chatas, you do. Minahani mili. Where do we see this? The Tana Rabbanan. What's the source of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar? Tana Rabbanan beged. Ein liela beged. Only if it gets on a beged. Minayin lirabot or mishahufshad. How do I know that if a hide is taken off of the carcass, it has to be washed if it gets blood on it? So you might think I'm going to go all out, even if it's not yet separated. Again, that's the key word. Roi, af kol haroy lekabel tuma di Rabbi Yehuda, like we just explained. Rabbi Elazar omer beged ein li ela beged. Minayin lirabo sak. How do I know that it's not something that's just semeru pishtim, which is wool? Maybe it includes other types of garments. V'chol minei begadim. Tamalomar asher aleh techabes. Yochli merabe or mishahufsha. Tamalomar beged. It has to be ma beged davar makabel tuma of kol davar makabel tuma. As I explained, it's not a din in roy lekabel tuma. It's that it's makabel tuma. That it's a finished beged that you want. My beinayu. So what's a few practical examples of things that are going to be different between whether you say it's roy lekabel tuma or lekabel tuma? Amar Abaye matlis pechusa misholosh ikabinai. If you have a small cloth that's less than 3, so halachically that's not a beged. Therefore, if you say that it has to be makabel tuma, that's not makabel tuma, and therefore, if blood gets on it, then it's not going to need kibbutz. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that what? If you want to use something, as long as it's roy l'kabel tuma, this can be used. What can this small piece of cloth be used for? If you have a little hole, you can use it as a patch. Since you can use it to patch up a hole in your thing, since even though you don't necessarily want to use it, again, seemingly Rabbi Lazar would agree. If you go ahead and you want to use the patch, even though it's smaller than 3, if you put it on the patch and it gets dirty, you got to wash it. But the patch standing by itself, this thing standing by itself, the small thing less than 3 by 3, according to Rabbi Lazar, if this gets wet or if this gets blood on it, you don't have to wash it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, since it's roy to use, even if you're not yet using it as a patch, if it's roy to use as a patch, then lemaisa you go ahead and you have to wash it. Says the Gemara, man diamar roy, that's Rabbi Yehuda, hanami roy, diboy chashav aleh, you can use it as a patch. Man diamar dawak kabel tuma, ha mi'alav bas kibulei tumahi, until you actually put it on as a patch, or until at least you decide that I'm definitely going to use it as a patch. Rav amar beged shechishav aleh letzurei kibenayu. Another practical example would be something that you want to draw on, embroider. So now I have this piece, it's big, it's a big piece, but I want to embroider it. So it's not yet a finished product. Could it be used? No, it could be used as a jacket. It's just not what I intend to use it for, exactly what we said. According to Rabbi Yehuda, Mandam Roy Hanami Roy, Diboy Mevatale Lamachshava, say it's Roy. If I change my mind right now and I put it on, I can wear it. It's just not embroidered, so that's going to be makabel tuma. Therefore, it's roy l'kabel tuma. Therefore, if it gets dirty, you have to wash it. Mandam Adama makabel tuma. According to Rabbi Lazar, needs to be in its finished state that you want to use it. Hashtami alav bas kibulei tumahi. This is not yet in its finished state, and therefore it cannot. It will not need kibbutz if it gets dirty. The nusach over here is, we just had Rav Amar. So Ika de Amri Rav Amar, another opinion of Rav, is Utzva dechashav Allah lekatza Ika benayu. If you have something that you want to go ahead and you want to trim, you have like a cloth that you want to trim. So it's like you have a big cloth, similar to like, let's say a mat, and you want to cut it down and use it as bedding, or you want to use it as a tablecloth or whatever. So now the question is, Mandam Roy Hanami Ruya. Again, if you change your mind, you can use it right now to put down on the floor. Therefore, if it gets dirty, you're going to need to wash it. Mandam Davar Makabel Tuma, Allah Makabel Tuma Dimaksala. Since here you want to cut it, until you actually cut it, even though it's usable now, until you actually cut it, according to Rebbe Lazar, it's not going to be Makabel Tuma, it's not in its finished state, and therefore you won't have to wash it. V'atani Rabbi Shimon ben Asi Omer, V'atani b'nichusa. Again, V'atani can be a question, and sometimes it's a support. Here you see a support. That is according to Rabbi Lazar, that until you actually cut it, it's not considered to be a finished product. 2 dots. Ein tone kibbutz. This is going on that you only have to spot treat. You don't have to wash the whole garment. Minani mili ton rabbanan yochol nitas al mixas beged yehei kol habeged ton kibbutz tamalom asher yazeh lo amarti l'chala b'makom dam bilvad. Asher yazeh, you only have to go ahead and wash the place that gets dirty, not the entire garment. Davar shehu roy l'kabel tuma, as I mentioned, stomach Rabbi Yehuda. It's mentioned in the Mishnah itself that only a davar haroy l'kabel tuma, that as soon as it's roy l'kabel tuma, it needs kibbutz. Again, according to Rabbi Lazar, it wouldn't be something that's roy l'kabel tuma, it would only be something that is a davar that's makabel tuma because it's in its finished state. Okay, now we're going to talk about leather, for all those that have leather jackets here. Echad ha-beged, v'echad ha-sak, v'echad ha-or. A or needs kibbutz. Now the problem is, l'meimra de'or bar kibbusu. You're implying most people don't wash their leather jackets. I don't know, what do you do to a leather jacket? You dry clean it? What do you even do? Yep. Okay, I don't even know. I never had a leather jacket.
It never gets dirty.
Never gets dirty,
you
right?
Wipe it down.
Except with blood.
Right. L'meimra de'or bar kibbusu. So are you telling me that or is a bar kibbutz? That means you're telling me that only things that are washed, that are launderable, need to be washed if they get blood on it. Are you telling me that leather is washable? Or minhu, but we see haisa alav lishleshes. If you have a pillow and there's dirt on it on Shabbos, mikancha bisamratut. Bismartut. You go ahead and you wipe it with a rag. And as Rashi explains, you can't use water, because what would it be if you used water to wash something on Shabbos? That would be a malacha of kibbutz. Kibbutz washing, malabein. Schita also comes in. Rashi, it's interesting. Rashi doesn't mention schita, because maybe he's assuming you're just pouring the water directly on. You're not even, but you're right. If you start using rags and everything, right. The rag you're using here is not a wet rag, or else it would be schita. You're using a dry rag. But he's saying you can't do kibbutz on regular cloth, because if you start using water, you're going to be malabein washing on Shabbos. Haisa al shel or nosin ala mayim at shetichla. But if the stain is on leather, you could pour water on it on Shabbos. What does that show? That clearly you're allowed to wash leather on Shabbos. Why are you allowed to wash leather on Shabbos? Because if it's not considered to be kibbutz when you put water on leather, Therefore, you clearly see that leather is not a bar kibus. It's not a son of a kibus, literally. It's not something that's in the category of laundering, and therefore, at the end of the day, why, in fact, if you get blood on it, do you have to launder it? We just said only things that are bar kibus. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye lo kashya. Harabanan ha'acherim. No, there's a machlokes. Detanya beged vasak mechapso akliva or megarero. That's the Rabbanan. Rabbanan say you're right. A beged is not, or is not a bar kibus. That's why over here, megarero, you go ahead and you scrape it. If it gets blood on it, you're supposed to scrape it. And the acherim is our Mishnah, who says that or you do wash. So again, the Mishnah in Shabbos is going like the Man de Amar, who says that or is not something that's a bar kibus. It's not washable, and therefore you can wash it on Shabbos because it's not the malacha. And our Mishnah, which is saying that you go ahead and you wash, or if it gets blood on it, is holding that it's a bar kibus, like the acherim. Kimana zadam Rav Chia bar Ashi. There's a problem because Rav Chia bar Ashi said the following: Zimnin sagin hava kaimna kamei derav v'shachshichi le misanya b'maya. I used to rinse off his leather shoes on Shabbos. Who's that clearly holding like? Kiman kirabanan. That's clearly holding like the Rabbanan that you're allowed to wash leather with water on Shabbos. Amar Rav Umika Lamanda Amar. Now Rav is going to ask a bunch of questions on himself. Umika Lamanda Amar or lav bar kibus. Is there really somebody that holds that or is not a bar kibus, that or is not washable, that it's not launderable? It clearly says by tsaras v'habeged o ashasi or erev o kol kliha or asher tichabes. You wash or, it's clear. Says Gemara elamar v'kra umasnisan berachin kipligi bekashin. So now we're making a chiluk. By soft leather, then it's a bar kibus. Everybody agrees that when you're dealing with soft leather, that's washable. Therefore, if soft leather gets blood on it, it has to be washed, and that's what our Mishnah is talking about. Where is there a machlokes and you say that it doesn't have to be washed? That's by hard leather. That's not washable. If that would get blood on it, you wouldn't have to go ahead and wash it off. There's a whole discussion that we've shown him because we said that hard leather, what do you do with it? You scrape it. That's considered to be cleaning it. So do you have to even go ahead and scrape it? But for sure, you don't have to wash it. It's not a bar kibus. So how is it possible that he went ahead and he rinsed the how did he rinse the shoes? Poor Rav, Bikashin Uchrabanan. Poor Rav had hard leather shoes. He didn't have soft leather shoes. That's why his shoes were able to be washed on Shabbos. Then he says, Rava again is giving himself a hard time. Says can't be. Because you're explaining that by tsaras, what was it talking about? Soft leather. Says in Gemara, Neku Nemale Lakra Dechiksivan Biraking Sivan. Are you telling me that we're only dealing with soft leather by tsaras and you don't have to wash off tsaras from hard leather? Milo askina mekli achsilagia. Habai medina sayam v'kamar achman nibai kibus. It's clear that even hard leather that gets tsaras you have to wash off. So seemingly even hard leather is a bar kibus. Says Gemara, fascinating. Milo ela marava tsaras kevan de megufe kapircha mechalchel aleu mashvi leirach. What's he saying? Tsaras, where does it develop from? The leather. Therefore, by definition, when saras develops in the leather, even when it develops on hard leather, what does it do to the leather? It weakens the leather. Therefore, all cases of saras, by definition, are dealing with soft leather at the end of the day. That's why at the end of the day, saras, you have to wash off. But again, we're going to maintain our chiluk that when we're dealing with hard leather, it's something that's not a bar kibus, and therefore if blood gets on it, you do not have to wash it. You might have to scrape it, but you don't have to wash it. Says Gemara Rava, ikashali hakashali. Rava is still being tough on himself. If you want to ask me a kasha, ask me the following kasha. Tzali dalad amabeis. Kar muchsasos dirakin ninhu. When you have soft pillows and cushions, utnan haisa shalor nos lamayim machatechla. You see that you have soft leather pillows and cushions, and you're allowed to put water on them on Shabbos. How can you put water on leather cushions on Shabbos? Elamarava kol kibus de lesle kiskus lo shmei kibus. So Rava now goes ahead and he clarifies. He's saying, you're right. Leather, even soft leather, pouring water on it on Shabbos or any time is not considered to be kibus. What is kibus when it comes to leather? Pouring it and rubbing it together. Not scraping it, because we said scraping is what you do by hard leather. Rubbing it together. So in order to do kibus by soft leather, you go ahead and you have to rub it together. I rinsed off his shoes. He was able to rinse them off as long as he doesn't rub them together. Either he was wearing soft shoes and then it was according to everybody. So if that's true by beged, so what are we making such a big deal about beged? We keep talking about beged that as soon as you pour water on it, you did kibbutz. And both ways. On Shabbos, if you pour water on something, you're chayiv kibbutz. And when you want to wash off the blood, you just go ahead and pour some water on it. Why is a beged different? Says the Gemara, because shir yuso zeu kibbusa. When it comes to a beged, so just having a little bit of soaking takes out the stain. So what comes out, Lamaisa? We always want to know what we're talking about. Comes out that soft leather is launderable, but it's only considered laundered if you scrub it. So seemingly, if blood gets on soft leather, you'd have to go ahead and get it wet, and you'd have to scrub it together. Or I should say, you should have to rub it together. And also on Shabbos, you're only going to be chayav for soft leather if you go ahead and pour water and then scrub it together. Hard leather, there's a machlokes. Acherim say it's the same as soft leather, and therefore it's the same thing. Or Rabbanan say it's not launderable at all, hard leather. And if blood gets on it, you don't have to go ahead and wash it. You might have to just go ahead and scrape it off. And cloth, well, wetting a cloth is considered to be laundering, soaking it is laundering, and therefore if a cloth gets dirty, you have to clean it, but you don't have to go ahead and rub it together. Just by pouring water on it is going to be okay. But again, the flip side on Shabbos, as opposed to soft leather where you won't be chayiv until you pour water and rub it, on Shabbos if you just pour water or soak something, a beged, regular cloth, in water, you're going to be chayiv for kibbutz.
Even if you don't scrub it, you can still have a problem leaving.
Okay, maybe. Says the Gemara, Rava litamei, Dama Rava. Rava goes according to his opinion where you see that again, if you take cloth and you put it into water, it's going to be considered kibbutz. Zarak sudar lamayim chayiv. That's what we need. If you throw a cloth handkerchief into water on Shabbos, you're going to be chayiv. Now, just derech aga, we're going to discuss one other interesting case. Zarak pishtan lamayim chayiv. If you throw flax into water on Shabbos, you're chayiv. I understand why if you throw a cloth into water on Shabbos, a handkerchief, you're chayiv kibbutz because you're washing it. We just said that cloth, when you throw it into water, you're soaking it, you're washing it. Elazera pishtan ma'atamas. The Gemara obviously understands you're throwing flax seeds into water. What is the isser? Again, this is all derech agav, just tangential. But what's the isser of throwing flax seeds into water on Shabbos? V'chitema mishum de kimikadeach, because you're being mikadeach. What does that mean? If you say they're being mikadeach, that you're causing them to grow. Zoreya. What do you give me example of flax seeds? Any type of seeds that you throw into water, you're going to help them grow. Hanach islahu riri. No. So flax seeds, for those that are familiar, not myself, supposedly they have some mucus on them. And when you go ahead and you throw them in water, they stick to each other. Therefore, it's not an isser of zoreya. What's the isser of things sticking to each other? What's the isser of putting things together on Shabbos when they stick to each other? What? It could be bona. That's interesting. It's saying lisha. Lisha, like kneading, K-N-E-A-D-I-N-G. 1 second. Iachi shlachim nami. If you have raw hides and you put them in water, that should also be aser hasam ka'avid lisha. No, over here you're doing lisha. When you put raw hides together, they don't actually get kneaded together. So again, just derech agav, you can't throw flax seeds into water. A, it sounds like because of zoreya, which would apply to other seeds as well, planting. But if you go ahead and you throw flax seeds into water, you'll also be chayav for lisha, for kneading, because they end up coming together.
I read somewhere that they have to be soaked a long time, so you're starting to break down the coverings.
Talking about flax seeds?
Yeah, flax seeds.
Where did you read that, if I can ask? You're saying as part of your pharmacist.
No, I read it in one of...
Where do you read such a thing?
I don't know.
In a journal, a random journal, okay.
Are you allowed to throw it in and eat it?
It doesn't sound like, I mean, again, it's according to what he's saying, that if it takes time, so maybe only if you leave it there. I don't know.
It takes a long time.
Maybe,
it's
makes
messy.
sense.
They say the pool with it's very smelly.
Okay, doesn't sound so exciting.
Down the things, so it's like
No, it's supposed to be smelly too.
That's what he says, very smelly. What do they do with it?
Well, they soak it, and then they weave it into fiber, you know. So you're starting to break down the things so that
That's a flax. That's not the flax seed.
Right, that's interesting. Okay, Darash, I promised we would finish. What?
You can't eat the flax seed on your cereal, Shabbos.
You can. Again, you just can't put it into. So it sounds like you can't just put it into water. Okay, so you can't soak it in water. It sounds like on the cereal. I don't know. Unless you should ever be eating flaxseed on cereal. Darash Rava. Mutter l'chabes min al b'Shabbos. You can wash shoes on Shabbos. Amalei Rav Papa l'Rav of Amar of Chia Barashi Zimnin Segin Hava Kaimna Kamei Rav V'Shachshichelei Misani B'Maya Shich Shochin Aval Kibbutz Lo. What are you talking about? How can I go ahead and do kibbutz on shoes on Shabbos, even if they're hard or soft, whatever? I can only go ahead. We said, and if it's leather, you can go ahead and you can get them a little bit wet, but you can't go ahead and wash them. Hadoki Rava More Allah V'Darash Devarim Shamar Telifnei Cham Tov Same Biyadi. You're right. He called back the Meturgman and said, I'm wrong. Baram Kacham I can go ahead and I can do a little bit of rinsing, but I can't go ahead and do washing, which we again determined by or, which we defined by leather, by soft leather would be putting water and then rubbing it together. That you can't do, but it sounds like if you put a little bit of water on leather, it would be okay on Shabbos. I'm not saying halacha l'maisa that's true, but if you throw a little bit of water on Shabbos, that would be okay.
On leather shoes.
They do that
On leather shoes, that's what it sounds
they do that
like.
on the floor sometimes. That's where they throw the water and then just
And let it go.
and wipe it up.
Says Gemara, kibbutz b'makom kadosh. We know that again, the kibbutz, when you wash it, you have to come back to the Beis Hamikdash and do it in the Azara, or it has to be done in the Azara. You shouldn't be leaving. Minani mili tanaban techabes b'makom kadosh. It's clear in the pasuk. Then the next parts of the psukim talk about breaking the kli and washing the kli cheres, breaking the kli cheres and washing. Therefore, since it comes right afterwards, just like this, the kvisa has to be done, the washing has to be done in the Azara. So too, they learn by extension that the washing of those things and the breaking of the kli that had chatas that was cooked in it have to be done in the Azara as well. Talmud lo minayin shviras kli cheres minayin. Talmud lo kli cheres shotevusha bo yishaber. Riko shtiva bekli chodesh minayin. Talmud lo v'im bekli chodesh bushala umorak v'shotaf b'mayim. At the end of the day, again, since it comes right afterwards, you see it has to be done in the Azar as well. Zeh chomer b'chatas. So we said that by a chatas versus other korbanos, the chumrah of a chatas is that it needs to be washed, the utensils after you cook them, as opposed to other korbanos, when you cook them, you don't have to go ahead and wash or break the utensils afterwards. Says Gemara, v'sulaka zeh chomer means this is the one and only chumrah. Are there no other chumras? By chatas va'ika shenichnas dama lifnim. We know that the chatas goes lifnim, and most korbanos don't go lifnim. The chatos achitzonis. We're dealing with the chatos chitzonis, which doesn't go bifnim. Still, it has a chumra shim nichnas dama lifnim sula. By a chatas chitzonis, if the dam goes inside, it's possible, as opposed to by a regular korban, which doesn't go inside. But if the dam goes inside, it's not possible. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? All damim that go inside are going to be possible. They're not supposed to go inside. That's another chumrah. So why don't you at least suggest that the chumrah of chatas is that a chatas is mechaper for kares as opposed to other korbanos that are not mechaper for kares? Bechatas to shmias hakol. Okay, you're right. But in this Mishnah, when we talk about this being the only chumrah, we're talking about a special chatas which is not for kares. What's this chatas that's not brought for kares? There's a chatas brought for somebody that denies knowing testimony in a monetary case. If he denies knowing testimony in a monetary case and we see that he's lying, he needs to bring a chatas, but that chatas is not a chatas that's for a chiyuv kares, because the fact that he didn't know testimony, the fact that he lied about knowing testimony is not a chiyuv kares. Shekain te'una arba matnos, but we know that there's a chumrah of chatas that it needs to be applied 4 times. Rabbi Yishmael damar kol damin tuna nal and matnos. No, this is within Rabbi Yishmael, who says that all korbanos need 4 applications. Al dalet karnos. Oh, but 4 corners. Only a chatas is 4 corners. There you got me. Only a chatas is 4 corners. The other one are on 2 corners. You just do it 4 times on the 2 corners. But over here, it's only for chatas. Only that one is 4 corners. Says Gemara, l'tamecha ika keren. Furthermore, only the chatas needs a keren on the actual horns. Hayika etzba. Only the chatas always needs to use your finger. Hayika chuda. Only the chatas always needs the edge. Elachad mitrei utlasa chumrei naka. You're right. You got me. You're right, and therefore there are other chumras of a chatas, and ours just chose one. Once you come up with this answer, now you could say that our Mishnah can be talking about a chata panimios. It doesn't have to be talking about this specific case of chatas. It can be talking about all chatases in general, and it just gives one example of many where a chatas is going to be more chumor than a regular animal that's brought as a korban. Okay, 5 more minutes, we'll finish up. Says the Mishnah, Beged sheyatza chutz l'klayim. A beged that goes outside of the curtains. So we said that if the beged gets dirty with blood, you have to wash it in the Azara. Now what happens if the blood leaves the Azara? Can you bring it back in? Says the Gemara, even though a lot of times once blood leaves the Azara, you can no longer bring it in and throw it. Well, in terms of washing, you can bring it back in. But now you have a problem. Let's say you bring it out. So we said you could bring it back in to wash it, because you can't wash it outside. But let's say it gets tameh when it left the Azara. Now you're stuck, because what? In terms of bringing it back in terms of leaving the Azara, that's one thing. We could say that that's fine. But in terms of bringing it in now that it's tameh, you can't. So what do? Koro, you rip it, nichnasu mechabso b'makom kadosh. So if you go ahead and you rip it, by ripping it, you get rid of the tumah, because now it's no longer a baguette, it's no longer a fit kli. Now you got rid of the tumah, now you bring it inside and you go ahead and you wash it. Kli cheres sheyatza chutza klaim. Well, kli cheres, right, you ruined it unfortunately. You shouldn't have taken it out and gotten in tameh. Kli cheres that goes out, nichnas v'shober b'makom kadosh, you bring it back in and you break it. Nidma chutz l'klaim, if it gets tameh, so by kli cheres, now you're stuck. What do? Nokvo v'nichnas v'shober b'makom kadosh. You have to make a little bit of a hole to ruin it. Now that you ruined it, it's no longer tameh. Now you can bring it back in and you can break it. You don't care about making a hole in that one because you're going to break it anyway. If you take out a metal bowl, nichnasu morko v'shotfo b'makom kadosh, you go ahead and you bring it back in. Nidma chutz l'klayim, but if it gets tamei, now you're stuck because a little hole is not enough to ruin it. So what do you have to do? Pochso v'nichnas u'morko v'shatva b'makom kadosh. What do you have to do? You have to make a big hole. Once you make a big hole, it's no longer considered to be a utensil, and therefore you can go ahead and bring it back and clean it.
Why don't you just break it up there and then bring it back to pieces?
You're not going to break a metal thing out there. You're talking about a metal bowl. So metal bowl, you make a little hole. Let's just get the Gemara to the top of the daf. Maskiv la Ravina. Koro, I don't understand. You're telling me that I should rip this beged to make it tahor. Beged amar Rachmana v'lav beged hu. The problem is that now when you want to bring it back and do the kibbutz, what does it say? The kibbutz needs to be done on a beged.
Not a beged.
So mamanav shach. If I'm ruining it and making it no longer a beged to allow me to bring it back in, but now when I want to do the kibbutz, it's not a beged, and I can't do kibbutz on something that's not a beged. Says the Gemara, D'mishayer be'kidei ma'afores. I ripped it enough that it's no longer a beged, but it's enough to still be a handkerchief. So I rip it enough to remove the shame beged from it, als tumantara, but it still has the shame beged on it, als the fact that it's a handkerchief. V'amar Afuna, that's a nice try. Ini v'amar Afuna loshna shloshir b'kadei ma'afores. Avashir b'kadei ma'afores chibur have. He clearly says that if you leave it as a handkerchief, it's still considered to be the original beged, and therefore it's still going to be tamei. Says the Gemara, midirabanan. Who no, it's a gzera midirabanan. That means what? On a deoraisa level, it's no longer tamei. So it's this quasi tuma, where you go in and you rip it and you leave it as a handkerchief. So it's basically fully ripped. Now it's no longer tamei mideoraisa. Gzeira, since you can still use it as a handkerchief, it's only tamei derabanan. But on a deraisa level, it's no longer tamei, therefore you can bring it into the azara to clean it. But since it's still tamei on a derabanan level, it still has the shame beged on it, and therefore you can go ahead and you can wash it as long as it's ripped and can still be used as a handkerchief. If you rip it totally, so now ain't a chanami. You got rid of the tamei problem, but you can no longer go ahead and wash it. Mirz Hashem tomorrow. Hopefully you'll be here, but if not, we're going to do Samechei and Tzadi Vav Amid Aleph. And then we'll get ahead a little bit. Shabbos is daf, again, will be in the morning, and it'll be Sunday's daf.